Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and you're watching another edition of the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. Your daily dose of geek news, reviews, and answers that you can use like an answer to the question, is there really a lot to cover here on Thursday? And the answer to that question is yes, actually. I was up early today, and I am streaming this earlier than normal to all of my super nomies, aka the patrons. You're all my nomies if you're listening to me, either in the podcast, which I'm also thinking about doing differently. I really haven't heard much of a response on that front. Should we continue to do TLDR as a podcast, simulcast as a live video on YouTube, or do something separate for the podcast outright? I'm just curious to know, because I really don't have a direction on that front, and I'm looking really for your feedback. And I say that every day, and I mean that every day. I really need that. And if you're looking for an answer to the question, if I finally was able to read my Darth Vader 001 comic that I got yesterday, it was launched yesterday, the answer to that question is no. Because as I was finishing up editing the vlog last night, Wicket decided to pee on the cover that I was on when I was editing in the bedroom. So we had to clean up that. And so I didn't get a chance to read this. I'm very, very disappointed. But today, at some point, I'm going to be reading this comic. Or at least I'd like to. Getting things done early because Diana has an appointment she's got to scoot off to, so I'm going to be watching Jedi when I'd normally be doing live streams. The other day, I mentioned that Inbox was an option as an app in Google. It's not really a replacement for Gmail. Consider it kind of like a different way of experiencing the services that Gmail would provide or Google would provide in the mail. I finally got my invite directly from Google after requesting it, and thank you, by the way. How many people? I think like 5 or 6 people submitted or sent me the invitation to be able to use Inbox. Thank you. I'm in, including CJ Paradilla, or Paradilla. I can't remember how to say her name. I apologize again, CJ, but I do appreciate the invite. I was in, and just playing with it initially, I can't say that it's perfect or a perfect solution. I think they could do a slightly better job, especially when it's used in conjunction with, say, notifications from Google+. But I would say that for the most part, Inbox is a fantastically better experience than Gmail ever was for me. I really like Inbox. Not perfect. Absolutely not perfect. It's got a few flaws. I've had some issues specifically on the mobile app, even on the desktop app, getting rules to work just right. But for the most part, I would say that they're taking a step in the right direction. I like Inbox a lot. And I like Gmail. I appreciate Gmail. I never liked the user experience of Gmail, or even the user interface. UX or UI. Was never really thrilled with Gmail. It was ripe for a reboot, and I think Inbox is a fantastic direction to go. So if you've not yet tried Inbox, give it a shot. See, now here's the thing. If you like Gmail, you may hate Inbox. I didn't hate Gmail. I didn't like Gmail, so I like Inbox a lot. It's a different experience, a lot more fluid, a lot more beautiful, a lot more responsive, cleaner, better. I'm gushing about Inbox. It's a great product. I appreciate it. I hope Google continues to evolve it. And at this point, much like Hangouts has replaced Google Talk, which, by the way, if you have Google Talk on Windows as a Windows program, which even Microsoft, aren't they doing this in Windows 10? They're calling it apps now in Windows 10. So even Microsoft's evolving that definition of what it is, because people are calling them apps anyway. But Google Talk is no longer going to function. It's as a program in Windows. It's just evolved into Hangouts, which of course has a plug-in with Google Chrome, and it makes sense. It's a clean experience. But I would expect that Gmail will continue to evolve, but I think Google is more than likely going to inch forward and build upon the Inbox experience. Inbox is the name of the product, which may cause some confusion. But having used the new version of Outlook based on... It was an acquisition of another app that I used that wasn't that great. I didn't think was great. Outlook for iOS, as much as people are loving it, I don't. I think Outlook on iOS is, I'm not going to call it disgusting, but it's definitely unpolished by a massive degree. And I think Google's Inbox schools Outlook for iOS. Flat out, honest. And it's just my experience. It's my perspective, but... They didn't exactly, they just acquired the app a few months ago and rebranded it as Outlook, much like Microsoft just acquired Sunrise as a calendar app, which is more than likely going to replace, it's going to be the default Outlook calendar on iOS and the variety of platforms that they have. I never really got into alternative calendar apps or really needed to, or even email apps in general. But I can tell you that Inbox absolutely delivers. I really, really like the app. And I think if you don't have the invite yet, if you use Gmail, you owe it to yourself to at least try it. I was looking for a way, maybe you know how to do this. I tweeted it out after I realized I could do it possibly. I want to automatically go to Inbox. I don't want to see Gmail. I mean, unless I outright go to Gmail, sometimes I just want to be directed to Inbox. I don't want a Gmail to load at all. Did that make any sense? Like, I want Inbox to be my default Google email. And then if I need to jump to Gmail, I can jump from Inbox, which rarely would that ever need to happen because I am just not a fan of Gmail at all. So lawmakers want computer science to count as a foreign language. Fantastic. That's awesome. I don't see a problem with this. Language, they say, can open up so many doors. I mean, yes, communication, but you take a foreign language to understand a different culture and to be able to communicate, with other people, and you broaden your horizons. You effectively expand your opportunities, and you expand your ability to be marketable as someone who's looking to have a career. So it makes sense to me that a computer language, could be worked just as well as a foreign language. Is it foreign? Absolutely. I mean, it may be in English, but it's still a foreign language. I know you can figure out differences, but I think there are far more striking similarities in terms of why we encourage foreign language and learning foreign language, especially at an early age. Namely, because of career opportunities, right? And empowerment, understanding. And I think a computer science, especially at an early age, if you give a child the right tools and encourage them, I think it's fantastic. The future is in software. The sooner, I don't think that ship has completely sailed for me. I may get into it. I've kind of spoken to this as I kind of encourage Jedi to program with different tools that are specifically geared towards novices, and not necessarily kids, just novices, people who are beginning. I want to be there with her to learn with her and encourage as she kind of moves along. I'm going to be that best teacher for her, and then of course look to the internet for great resources to better encourage that kind of learning. So I think that this is absolutely on the mark. I think that if Spanish counts as a foreign language, C++ should count. Objective-C should count. Any programming language should count because you're developing skills that will translate into a better life for you and for other people. I mean, who's ever said, "Oh, it's really hurt me to be bilingual"? I wish. I wish I understood other languages better than I do. I don't. I think you are better inclined or more inclined to understand how every culture works differently when you understand languages and nuances. So you become more of a worldly citizen, knowing more than one language. And I would say the same thing. You become a better citizen of the world, of this thing that we know as our universe, if you have an understanding on how to make things go. And you make things go by learning computer language. I'm just saying, the tools are at our disposal. I think it's fantastic. Can't wait to see that. I'm more excited about that as an option than I am about, I guess, lawmakers are trying to stop, Congress, is it? That they're trying to stop internet tax from ever happening. I'm saying that. I'm like, that's more... I'm sure some people say, no, I'd rather not have any tax. Don't get me wrong. Like, if I didn't have to pay a tax, I wouldn't. But, I walk in and I just take it as a cost of doing business, right? I walk in, I buy a comic book. I know there's going to be tax. But I also know where that money is going. It's going to public education. Whether or not Jedi goes to a public school, I support public education. Why? Because I don't want a whole bunch of dumbasses running around. And you know what? A lot of those existing dumbasses went through public education too. So... just because we have public education doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have smart people running around or walking around or whatever dumb people do. I don't know. Imbeciles, really. People who didn't want to learn. Not just dumb people, right? And I'm not saying that you have to... there are people who are book smart and there are people who are street smart and there are people who are book and street smart, but it's good to have that option so at least we're able to give people a foundation to learn, give them a place to learn, a place to study. So I believe public education is very, very important. My tax money goes to it. I'm happy about that. But internet taxes, they're thinking about nixing those as well. I don't really have an opinion on that, except, well, I'll look at it this way. If they sold me this comic book for half of what it cost, I would be happy. I don't think anybody would argue. No, I want to be charged more for the same thing. You know there's a person out there who's doing that right now. Product of public education, right? Because they never learned the maths. They never mastered the maths. No. It's less money. It's fewer things. Well, I'd rather, spend $1 than 4 quarters. Because it's just one thing instead of giving away 4 things. That's 4 is greater than 1. And these are the same people who jump into every random comment thread on the internet and make it seem like there's absolutely no hope for humanity. Did you know that Punxsutawney Phil has got a police a report out on him?
That's what I heard. I read that in a tweet someone put.
I tweeted it this morning. So apparently there's an APB on Punxsutawney Phil, the groundhog, because apparently there's a lot of snow on the mountains or whatever. So the police are going after the groundhog there. That was a little bit of levity to my day. I appreciated seeing that bit of news. Oh, by the way, happy birthday, Super Mario Brothers 3. It was released on this day in North America 25 years ago, 1990, 25 years ago. Does that make you feel old? Or young? It makes me feel old. I never got into Super Mario Brothers 3. I can't believe I'm about ready to admit this. One of these days, when Nintendo gets their head screwed on straight, I want to play Super Mario Brothers, the first one. I liked the game. I just never really truly got into it like other people did. I loved Kid Icarus. I loved Metroid. I loved Zelda. I probably like Kid Icarus more than Zelda. I kind of wish that series would have continued. Kid Icarus, as far as I'm concerned, was one of the best original NES games that was ever done. Ever. Best soundtrack, best gameplay. I loved Kid Icarus more than Metroid. More than Zelda, more than Super Mario Brothers. I never beat Super Mario Brothers. Never did. I beat Metroid. I beat Zelda. I beat Zelda. I even beat Zelda Second Quest. And I also beat the what was the other one I said? I beat a lot of games except for Super Mario Brothers. I like it. I appreciate it. I just never did. I just couldn't get it. I mean, I just kept dying there. I like sideways scrollers, but it just I admit it. Never beat Zelda. Never did. I feel bad. I feel like a part of me is missing. Maybe one day I'll go back. But anyway, happy birthday, Super Mario Brothers 3. Oh, also, New York Toy Fair 2015 starts this Saturday, this weekend. So if you're watching this video, TLDR, on the Friday, or even before Toy Fair, if you are in New York and you have a chance to go to Toy Fair, let me know. I'd like to work something out with you. I want to get someone to record video of new awesome toys, like Star Wars stuff, Lego stuff, stuff that, geeks might like, right? New collectibles. I'm specifically interested in the Star Wars and the Lego stuff, but hey, there's a lot of good stuff out there. A lot of fandoms to cover. So, speaking of Star Wars, because you knew I was going to bring that up again. Hello, I'm wearing a Darth Vader shirt for the video I did today. We're talking about the Darth Vader car and the CPU I recorded earlier in the day. Because I had a friend, Kelly Ishikawa, and I'd consider him a friend. We just recently launched geekycreatures.com. You got to check it out if you're interested in geeky creatures. Once a week at this stage, we're going to release a new geeky creature with a backstory. I don't know how it's going to evolve. I have an idea of how I'd like it to evolve, but I'm not sure how that's going to go yet. So the scope of Toy Fair, I think, is fantastic. And I caught this other bit of news this morning. They're apparently going to be making a lightsaber creation kit. So they'll have a whole bunch of hilts and a whole bunch of blades, like whether it's foam or light up or collapsing, and you can create your own. So you've got basically a build your own lightsaber kit. I mean, of course, with existing parts. That's kind of neat. That's fascinating to me, man. It's cool. That's awesome. I mean, you could make your own lightsaber. You're not going to probably be able to find a kyber crystal. At least I don't think the kit comes with kyber crystals. That's pretty cool. I don't think I want to build my own lightsaber. I'm not, let's be reasonable. That'd be crazy. Who would do that? Who would be interested in this news? Okay, so if you're still interested in Star Wars and you're still listening, Humble Bundle, fantastic resource to get a whole bunch of awesome stuff. has a whole series of classic Star Wars PC games, mostly, that are available in the Humble Bundle. For just a few bucks, you can have the licenses for classic PC Star Wars games. I am not going to partake. Just not going to do it. As much as I'd like to, the chances of me firing up any kind of tool or PC just to play a Star Wars game are between slim and none. As much as I might have enjoyed them, I'll wait for the iOS equivalent. It's just I've always got this on me, right, or the phone. But I'm not a PC gamer. I never really have been. The last PC game I really remember seriously playing was Grim Fandango. Love that game. The remake, someone asked if I'm going to get it. I saw a bit of feedback on that. The gameplay hasn't necessarily been updated. The mechanics need a little bit of work, and that's kind of what frustrated me about the original game. I have the soundtrack, so I relive it in my head over and over and over again. But there's a Star Wars Humble Bundle. There's also a Creator Humble Bundle with a whole bunch of Lego books or ebooks for kids that are want to learn how to build things and construct things, like programming stuff. So that might be fantastic for you. I'm not going to get that at this stage. I probably could, but it's a series of PDFs, no DRM. This is Humble Bundle after all, but I did want to let people know about those two things. I was a guest, and I don't do this very often, in another podcast. I've known a guy, Dave Delaney, for quite a while. He loved the Gnome Decks event that I produced for about 10 years, which was on hiatus. We're bringing back Gnome Decks. It's possible that we're bringing back Gnome Decks later this year. So stay tuned for that. It'll be potentially in and around the time that we're doing Vlogger Fair. Vlogger Fair for the family vloggers and people who love vlogging and YouTube in general and connecting with community. And Gnome Decks will be for the geeky and nerdy variety of YouTubers and people who use social to connect with community. Because some people don't use YouTube. Some people use podcasts. Some people use Instagram. Some people use Facebook, Vine. It doesn't matter. It's not just all about YouTube. It's about really connecting with people that you identify with. And I identify with geeks and nerds of a variety of geeks and nerds. Sci-fi geeks and nerds. I'm starting to identify with comic geeks and nerds. Not so much though. I mean, I like them, but I'm not addicted to the comic book as what it is. Specifically, certain stories. Star Wars geeks and nerds. Toy geek and nerds. Some tech geek and nerds. But we're all under that umbrella of being a part of that culture, or at least that's a label that we might use to identify ourselves. So you should listen to that podcast, which has nothing to do with what I was talking about just then. But I was talking to and answering someone's questions, and I don't do guests. I'm not a guest on podcasts often because I found that very few people who host an interview have the ability to interview someone very well. And I've wasted a lot of my time on people who just suck at interviewing. The last really good interview, beyond the one I did with Dave, which was good, was Starve the Doubts. Jared Easley. He did a fantastic interview. Probably one of the better interviews I'd ever had in my entire life. And I've been interviewed a lot, and I like it. But I've been through so many bad ones to not want to do it again unless I know it's going to be a good one. And Jared, I say, sets the standard as far as interviews go. If you want to play with Daft Punk music, you can. There's something now called Daft Punk Console. I put the link for you in the video or the audio or podcast description. I tweeted it out this morning because it was pretty cool. It's in the web browser. There's nothing to install. It's hosted on a website called codepen.io, which is really neat. You could use this to publicly make code public and have a little app run like in a window down here. And then at the top, you can see all the programming that went into creating the app below. So you can interact and you can see it's very transparent. Kind of neat. So some guy or gal basically created a way to play Daft Punk music on the keyboard in your web browser. I could probably play. Well, I'm not going to do it, but I could probably pull it up on my phone and work it just as well. So if you're a fan of Daft Punk, I tweeted it out, and some people were like, "Great, thanks for helping me lose 20 minutes of my life." Happy to help. Really, really, truly am. Samsung. I've been talking about Samsung lately. I don't want to talk about right now at length is what I've already covered. You know what I've covered if you've listened to TLDR or the Q&A with you and me videos. So the other week, a document basically started to surface or post. Someone just decided to say, Samsung Smart TVs customers are warned that personal conversations may be recorded. Because Smart TVs are connected to the internet, and they have features that would allow you to toggle, a certain state of that device to on or off or change the channel. Xbox has kind of got the same thing. You know, if you plug your smartphone in and say, "Okay, Google," or "Hey Siri," I'm sorry if I just launched everybody's programs there. You know, are these products listening? Yes and no. Samsung says no, nothing's happening. But what I'm saying is, don't just hold Samsung responsible for that as a potential. Okay, just gonna let you know that if you have a device that listens or would pick up on your voice in any capacity, it would potentially have that I guess I'm not gonna call it a feature really, a drawback. You know, if you were worried about that, if you're really truly worried about your personal communications getting out there that way, don't personally communicate around anything that's connected to the internet, or that would certainly you know, have the opportunity to listen to your voice to do anything. So I'd be careful about voice commands right now, especially if it goes out to the cloud, because if you trust them, hey, that's up to you. That's on you, man. It's good for you. So I'm not going to slam Samsung on that, but I am going to say this is a little I'm not going to say nefarious, disingenuous, kind of rude. It's been reported that Samsung TVs, these smart TVs, if you're streaming your movies like locally, like not through the internet, if you're streaming your movies, they've been inserting ads. And you know, you're watching they'll insert ads. I don't know how the hell they pulled this off. But that's just wrong. That's wrong. You know what the ad is to me when I see a Samsung logo across the front of the TV? That's all the ad I need. I know it's a Samsung TV, and I'm sure, you know, Samsung might be making money on the back end. They're getting creative, but that's the wrong thing to do. The wrong thing to do. I don't mind Hulu or Hulu Plus, and I know if I have a subscription, then I may get ads. They don't bother me that much, but you know, it's that issue of, like, if I'm okay, for example, like if I would think of the TV like an app, or okay, no, let me say that again. I see the TV like I do this phone. So I had to watch. I had to watch Agents of Shield season 2, episode 2. But right now I couldn't stream it anywhere because we're still mid episode. I'm sorry, we're still mid season 2. So I had to buy it, which it wasn't a big deal. $2 for an SD copy on Amazon. So that's what I did. So I watched it here on my phone. I watched it on the phone because I was in the other room, because I told everybody at the beginning of this broadcast that Wicket peed on the bed last night, so I couldn't sleep there. So I'm watching it, right? Now imagine I'm watching this thing that I paid $2 for, and then suddenly something pops up. You know, I'm like, what the hell? That would annoy the hell out of me. I'm like, no. You know what? You know what? That would happen. I'd never buy something. I'm saying I'd never buy something from that company again if they did something like that. I feel the same way with apps. If I'm using an app and I feel it something interrupts the experience that doesn't need to be there, I'm not going to pay to remove the annoyance. I'm just going to take my attention elsewhere, because there's a lot of options out there. So if Samsung is doing this, as has been reported by several people, I think it's wrong. I think it's disingenuous. And they could end up burning a bridge with a user that could have bought their next smartphone. And instead of buying the next smartphone, what's if they inserted an ad with the movie on the TV, that Samsung didn't control any of that transaction apart from, you know, displaying the thing on the screen because it's a Samsung device. You know, what would the chances be that they would do the same thing on one of their smartphones or tablets? I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying that if they cross that line on one aspect of the user experience, the chances, I would say, are pretty high that they do it elsewhere. Unless they stop and say, okay, we won't do it. This is not the time that Samsung should be experimenting like that, I can tell you this much. Obama, this morning, used a selfie stick. And I do believe, I looked it up on Wikipedia, this is a sign of the apocalypse. Did you see that? He did it. He used a selfie stick. You don't know what a selfie stick is, do you? You were using it years ago before they became popular. See, we were that geeky that we were using them when no one knew what they were. Now everyone knows what they are and they hate them. Apparently, they're very popular in Japan, I guess. A selfie stick, right? X-Shot had the selfie stick. It's a collapsible thing that's got a tripod mount or threading on one end. You pull it out and you can hold it out, and then you can take a picture holding the picture.
Yeah.
That's what they call them now, selfie sticks.
Okay.
We had them for years. Well, Obama did it now, and I don't know what this means. Other than I think the world is going to end. But I don't care. Like I said, I was using them years ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, well, now I became hipster. I'm like, oh, I was using them before they were cool. I was using them before anybody knew what they were. I was using them when people were what is that? What is that? And then, 5 years from now, everyone's going to know, just like with the selfie stick, blazing forward, one toy at a time. Yeah, that's the selfie stick. So if you ever see someone using a selfie stick, just remember that. Geeks were using them before they were popular. Now we've moved on. I think. I'm not judging you if you use a selfie stick, by the way. Tweets are coming back to your Google search results. Years ago, they were in Google search results, and then the license went away, and Google went their own direction, tried Plus. We all know what happened with that. Or most of us know what happened with that. Or if anything's happening with that, I don't know. All I know is that I've got Google Plus, and I've got certain circles, like top fans are in circles for this channel, for my classic channel, for the vlog channel, and I have my home feed, my homepage feed, and in your circles you can toggle on Google Plus which circles show up on the home feed. So I turn certain ones off, but Google Plus is ignoring that setting. But I don't want to see all this crap on my home feed. Even though I said don't show this circle on my home feed, Google Plus says, we know you didn't mean to do that. We know you really want to see these people on your home feed. No, Google, I don't. That's why I took the check mark out of the box of show this circle on my home feed. No, we know what you want. We're Google. Come on. Yeah, we know. You don't want to use Facebook. Oh, Facebook sucks. Google Plus is better. Yeah. We know what you want. We're Google. We know. No, Google, you don't. Some of us still haven't forgiven you from what you've done with YouTube. So tweets are coming back to Google. Now, there was a rumor. I hate talking about rumors. There was a rumor that Twitter may be acquired by Google. And I haven't heard much beyond that. What I would say is the rumor may have been based in the fact that tweets are now going back into Google results. I am not going to talk about that specific rumor. I have certain opinions, and let me just say, I hope that never happens. I want to see tweets in Google, but I don't want to see an acquisition from Twitter. Twitter needs to evolve, absolutely, but I don't think that's the way for them to go. And it makes sense because Twitter is a powerful tool for search, especially live, dynamic, real-time search. A lot of bozos on Twitter. I'd say there's a lot more bozos than anything. It's really frustrating actually to weed through the bozos there. I feel like a lot of followers that I might have accrued over time, they've moved on. They're zombies at this point, and which is it's mildly frustrating. It really is because I'll get followed by someone who notoriety, and then I like the stuff that they do, and then I notice in TweetDeck they're following a ton of just random users. I'm like, oh man, they're using an auto follow program. That sucks. They're basically trying to generate more followers and generate more attention, and that's a way to kind of cheat the system. And I've unfollowed a couple of rather famous people because they did that. I'm like, if they're treating me like they're treating like a zombie user or a crap user or a spam user, or it's obviously a user that is not associated with them all, I'm like, I'll follow you from another account, but I'm not going to follow you from my primary account because I just don't need that. I don't want that at all. Oh, cool. My Amazon package with the Lego DC Comics superheroes was delivered. It's a special Blu-ray that's got Bizarro Batman. I want to see of course, the video too, but I got it because it was half off the other day. It's like $7 for a unique minifigure that I didn't have. I'm in. Tell me, minifigures, I'm in. In fact, yesterday's CPU, I recorded this stuff. I recorded a Lego Series 13, the minifigure Series 13. This is a Disco Girl next to Hot Dog Guy. If they'll get in focus. Come on, come in focus. Are they going to... I gotta get my face out of the way. There we go. Is that it? No. Did that? It's very difficult to get things to come in focus. There we go. And those are just 2 of 16. Oh, here we go. For all you bronies out there, it's not really a My Little Pony, but it's a unicorn minifigure. Kind of nice for some of you. Not my favorite. It's a unique one. And then this is not Cthulhu. Spoiler alert, not Cthulhu, but I would imagine this looks like Cthulhu. And then very, very special, Zach Galifianakis. Am I right? Am I right? Zach Galifianakis? That's right. That's right. I'm all right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So the next story here, Tesla. This is awesome news. Wants to build a battery for your house. Cool. I'm in. I'm in. I've debated. I'm ready to get a new car. We're leasing, and I don't know which new car we're going to get. The next car we're going to get. But I don't want to buy a car. I'm just not a fan of buying cars anymore at all. It becomes a pain. I'm more like a millennial that way, even though I'm far from a millennial. The idea of getting a Tesla would be awesome. They have leasing options, but I think you got to do it under business. I haven't looked too deeply. I have not even been into a Tesla store, so I probably should. But to build a battery for your house, it would likely be tied into like solar panels, which I've even considered getting installed here. And I know Seattle, it's rainy. Why would you do that? Well, if they're installed right and they adhere and all this stuff, and if there's a specific tie-in that's tied into Tesla's technology, man, if I can lower my electric bill, man, it'll pay for itself in a number of years, or certainly become a value, over time. So I'm interested. I'm in, and I think that's fantastic. I think if anything, if Tesla does that and they do it at the right price, I think it's going to jumpstart solar energy, wind energy, alternative forms of energy, rather than relying on electrical companies for power. So that's rather amazing news. Not a footnote exactly, but I realize I have been talking a bit at length. I just want to scan for headlines here because I've got more that I'm going to have to stack for next week, because tomorrow's Friday. That's the AMA. So I'll be answering user questions in tomorrow's TLDR. But let me go ahead and do a quick scan here to see what else I can hold off on. I did want to mention this because I did talk about comics. Spider-Man, which has been licensed by Sony, is going to first appear in a Marvel film from Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU, which is awesome. Spider-Man is now going to be a part of the rest of his universe. It always kind of boggled my mind to see Spider-Man as treated separately from everything that we've seen happen with Marvel. And honestly, the Spider-Man franchise has been a cash cow for Sony, so I can only imagine how much this is going to help both franchises, or character development and stories and fandoms all around. I'm not a fan of Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man stuff. I'm an arachnophobe. I like the movies. I liked Spider-Man in an Electric Company. I remember the Electric Company Spider-Man. Didn't really watch any of the cartoons with Spidey in it, though. I'm ambivalent towards a lot of superheroes. I like them, but I wouldn't say that it's that comic book heroes are not my fandom. Just not. But I'm fascinated, and of course I appreciate them and watch them. When I find that I could be entertained by them. Not a fan of superheroes necessarily or their stories, but I'm a huge fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's going to take a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more to pull me in. That's how it goes. So, let's see, what else can I wait on? I talked about most of this stuff, actually. One more thing I'm going to leave you with, and that is Facebook. I'm going to leave you with Facebook, where you've not been seeing any of my posts. How much you want to bet you have not seen any of my posts on Facebook? Because Facebook buries them. They want, because they can. Because, we're Facebook. We know what you want. No, you don't want to see the most recent stuff. No. You want to see stuff we think you want to see. Because we're Facebook. No, Facebook. I want to see awesome stuff. Well, no, you want to see a stupid status update from a family member who has political leanings that you had no idea, but they may be a psychopath. So, I'm not saying any of our family are psychopaths, Dad.
I am.
You're a sociopath. There's a difference. So now, when you die, Facebook makes it easier to basically pass your account on to an heir. I think most major services need to do this anyway, just for ease of transition. It makes sense. So I'm glad Facebook's taking that step forward. You may want to be aware of that. I don't plan on, and I don't think anybody around me is going to be dying anytime soon, but it's just something to keep in mind. What happens to everything that you've done to that point? Where does it go? And unless you figure that stuff out now, it will become a problem then. So don't let it become a problem. Set up an heir for your account sooner rather than later, because you just never know. So I'm going to save the other stories for Tuesday, because they're not immediate. Oh, you got to pay attention to this. It's interesting, and it's something that I'd wanted to talk about. And just to say that I really wanted to thank you because I appreciate you. I do love you. I'm going to roll into the patron hangout now, even early in the day. and possibly interact with people there, possibly. Because, you know, if you have the time to spend with me there, I'll spend more time there. At some point, I've been very, very vocal about my lack of being impressed with Patreon, because Patreon lies. That's the thing you got to keep in mind. My patrons are awesome, but Patreon lies. Every number you see on Patreon's website is an outright lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. It's not true. It's false. It's false, false, false. Patreon is lying to I believe everybody. I mean, certainly the people who see the numbers on the website. They're not real. They're a lie. So just keep that in mind. But I want Patreon to launch a better chat app where I can turn it on and have it on and be able to manage it effectively. But until they do, this is the way I have an opportunity to interact with the people who give me a little more. So I'm happy to give them a little more. So here I go into the Hangout. So at this point, I'm going to leave everybody to their own devices.